I've always been a little self-conscious about my body, either because my mom insisted on putting me in every single beauty pageant this side of Nebraska, or just peer pressure in general. I actually never realized how bad it was until one day I passed out from low blood sugar and Dad found me on the living room floor. He was angry and anxious, telling me that I was starving myself to death. I guess he had a right to feel that way though, because when I got on the scale at the doctor's office, I barely weighed 85 pounds. The number shocked me enough for Dad to decide to get me into a rehab program this summer. He said that they had some new type of therapy, specially designed for people with conditions like mine. I knew he really meant that he didn't know how to help me. It was around mid-July when I arrived here, either the 12th or the 13th, and the first thing I noticed right off the bat about the place was how most of the people there were a lot of young girls around my age at the facility. The head nurse, a woman named Regina, greeted me as I stepped out of the car and shook my hand so hard that I thought it might fall off. "Welcome to Next Beginnings. You must be Jade." My dad went to the car as Regina started to give me a tour of the grounds. As you can see, everything here is top-notch to provide you the most comfort and care you can possibly ever want. We want you to feel like this is home, and to never want to leave, she told me. I was checking my Instagram feed to see if any of my classmates were posting about my new status as a crazy jailbird when she commented about their policies on social media. We typically try to get our patients to detox from every addiction that we believe is an obstacle to their recovery. That can be especially hard in the time we live in, but I hope you respect that our procedures only allow for a maximum of 2 hours per day for the internet, she said. Suddenly, this stay wasn't turning out to be as great as I thought it might be. But I begrudgingly obeyed the order, even though I was already thinking of ways to get my phone back less than 30 minutes. 3 hours after that happened, I made friends with a few other girls in the same commons that I was assigned, Bethany and Kenzie, both about my age. "So how long are you in for?" Kenzie asked me after we made introductions. "Until I get healthy, I guess." "Good luck with that. I've been here almost 90 days, and they say I'm still a threat to myself and others," Bethany retorted. "I'm sure it's probably just a misunderstanding," I said to reassure her and myself. "Can't imagine being cooped up in this place for that long." I thought that too at first, but then I got my mirror. "Your mirror?" I repeated. "They call it reflection therapy. It's supposed to help you confront your illness," Kenzie told me. "Doesn't sound so bad, although I guess if you don't like the way you look, seeing yourself every day in a mirror is probably difficult," I reasoned. "Difficult? That's a way to put it," the first girl said, and then waved her hand dismissively and added, "You'll see when you get your own mirror." That afternoon, I got the chance to talk with my counselor about the therapy they had planned for me. He was an older British gentleman by the name of Marcus DeSade, had a grandfatherly appearance to him, which immediately put me at ease about the misgivings that my new friends had given me. "I want to do whatever I can to help," I told him firmly. He scribbled a few notes and asked me a few questions before we got to the meat of our discussion. "Did your father tell you that he signed you up for one of our new programs, Jade? It's been extremely helpful to people in your situation," Dr. Marcus told me. "Is it that reflection stuff the girls were talking about?" He chuckled softly and told me, "As a matter of fact, it is. And I'm sorry if you heard any nasty rumors concerning the therapy. It's actually quite harmless." His demeanor and smile made me feel comfortable enough to ask what the process was all about. "Regina, our director, has practiced techniques relating to behavioral therapy about 13 years. During her travels across Europe some time back, she came across a mirror of the most unique material, called lacer. He paused as though lost in his thought and then remarked, "It would likely be easier if I simply showed you." He stood up and gestured for me to follow him down the corridor to one of the quieter hallways. "Quiet as a tomb," I said nervously as he reached into his pocket and fiddled with his keys. He let me go into the room first and then promptly closed the door behind me once I was inside. "Doctor?" I asked nervously as I turned around and saw him lock the door back. Part of the therapy requires that the patient is placed in isolation for the session. "You will be perfectly fine, as long as you cooperate fully," Desade said as he nodded toward me and then walked away. For the first time in my life, I felt claustrophobic. The room was dark and I suddenly felt like there wasn't enough oxygen. It took a good 6 minutes for me to calm down and take a good look around. The room was bare. No furniture, no carpet, not even a toilet. The only thing that I could see in the darkness was a shiny surface on the west wall. I walked over to it and touched the surface of the glass, realizing this had to be the special mirror that Marcus claimed would help me. Since my options were limited, I did the most reasonable thing and sat down cross-legged in front of the mirror, waiting for whatever was supposed to happen next. I don't know why, but I expected there to be some sort of jump scare from the mirror, something to make the therapy session even freakier than it already was. Instead, I found myself just sitting there, staring at the frail and repulsive figure that I've been struggling with for 4 years now. Before I knew it, there was a loud tap at the door and the lights came on. Marcus and another doctor came into the room. "Alright, Jade, you're all done. You can go back to your room now," the second man said. I stared at them, a bit dazed and confused as they helped me to my feet. "What? That's it? That's all there is?" I asked as they helped me into a wheelchair. It felt weird to stand up and move. As the orderly pushed me back into my room, I couldn't help but to be amazed at how simple the process had been. Beth and Kenzie must have been wrong, so I thought. When I got back to my room, I thanked the orderly and went to the bathroom to clean up for dinner. When I went and turned the lights on, I shrieked at the top of my lungs. My reflection in the bathroom mirror, a dirty, bloody mess. There were small cuts on my arms and legs. My clothes were stained with sweat and piss. 2 nurses rushed in to get control of me and sedate me as I shoved the door in the bathroom closed, trying to figure out what in the hell I had just seen. When I woke up, I demanded to talk with Dr. Desade. Immediately they told me that he wouldn't be returning until next week. So instead I made my way to the commons to see Beth and Kenzie. Only the latter girl was there eating her breakfast as I came in, and her eyes widened as she saw me approach her. Kenzie stood up and hugged me tight as she tried not to cry, and I whispered, "I need to talk to you." Her eyes shifted around the room suspiciously and she muttered, "Not here." So we agreed to meet at the library near where we pretended to use a pass to surf the internet. I even started writing down the whole experience for my own sanity. "Are you okay?" Kenzie asked me once we were able to speak freely. "I'm fine, but I have so many questions to ask you," I told her. "I do too, starting with where you've been for the past 3 months. She shied at me. I blinked. "What?" "Jade, it's November. I haven't seen you since you went to therapy."